You guys, my big fat thing got in the way. That's what happened. So basically, I'm going to let Shelley ask me those questions that she's been curious about asking me.
Well, I wanted to know, as like I was saying, Mr. Hawking is kind of an inspiration on many levels for a lot of people, and one of which is because of his significant, amazing life after his diagnosis with ALS. And you are doing amazing things with your books and your podcast and getting the word out there to help educate people about cerebral palsy. So I'm wondering, what are the challenges you face as an ambassador for persons with cerebral palsy?
It's so funny you asked me this. In Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, we're almost at the end of Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and you guys know it's Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and there's not enough awareness. There's not enough awareness on ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. There's not enough awareness on cerebral palsy. There's enough awareness on cancer, my God. But there's enough research to go to the cows come home, but there's not enough awareness. So what Stephen Hawking did, and I am trying to follow in the footsteps, believe it or not, is raise awareness about these diseases that can actually kill you if you're not careful. I mean, cerebral palsy could actually kill me in 2 seconds flat if I'm not careful. Heart attack, you name it, cerebral palsy could actually kill you. So basically, at 30 years old, I'm trying to raise awareness about cerebral palsy.
So what I hear you saying is that not enough people are educated. Do you think, I know I've had relatives that have had different various handicapping conditions, and it doesn't seem to me like elementary schools help educate children enough when there is someone with a disability in the classroom. It's just like, oh, this is Susie, she has a hearing impairment. This is Bobby, and she's confined to a wheelchair because she's a paraplegic, but they don't really go into the impact on a person's life. Do you think that could help educate more people if they actually brought programs?
Yes. Do you want me to scream in a telephone? No, you probably don't. But I think that could that would help, and that would help because having diversity in the classroom is one thing, and my colleagues who listen to this podcast will probably be screaming at the podcast players saying, yes, hello, we have all these public schools out there, and we talk about these violent shootings in public school systems, but yet we don't talk about mental health. Mental health is a taboo, and physical disabilities are a huge taboo.
Right. I remember having children that I went to school with in elementary and even high school that either had cognitive functioning disabilities or actually physical limitations such as yourself, and they had a special classroom where they went, which was more accessible. They had tutors and paras in the classroom, which I totally understand. But these children were cut off from mainstream schooling, and it's not so much that way anymore. My children go to school, and there are many children that have various handicapping conditions that are so-called, quote, mainstreamed, which I don't know why we even need a name for it. They're children like everyone else. And I agree with you that, I think most adults are afraid to provide too much information to children thinking they won't understand. But what we fail to understand until we have children of our own, I think sometimes, is that they get a lot more than we know. And just give them a chance to know information, to have the information, and to understand it and ask questions. The most rewarding thing for me was, I remember in first grade, there was a girl that came in that was confined to a wheelchair as a quadriplegic, and to be able to ask her questions as a student, how did it happen, what happened? And at the time, I didn't know all the terms, but she was actually, they used forceps during her birth to help her exit the birth canal, and it damaged her spinal column and caused her to be paralyzed. So, but I could go home and have those conversations with my parents, and we could have those conversations with our teacher, and then ask her, what's it like to be paralyzed, to never run, to not be able to feel your own legs? And it's getting it from her perspective. And as a kid, that was invaluable information to have.
I agree. So I think all these schools should have at least diversity programs, or at least hire diverse people in their programs. I know that my school is an equal opportunity employer, and I know one of my colleagues has hearing loss, had cancer, is recovered from the cancer but he had significant hearing loss as a child, and so we have a couple teachers that are diabetic, and me with cerebral palsy, the one that bucks and squawks about it, and so I wish that more teachers would be perceptive to diversity.
Me too. So along those lines, I have another question for you if you want one.
Sure.
So being that the majority of the population does not experience a physical handicapping condition, what can everybody do, whether they have a handicapping condition or not? What can people do to have a positive impact for people with disabilities?
Well, I would say, first of all, Google what disability you're dealing with. I did not have Google. I did not grow up with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, and the Americans with Disabilities Act was still in draft form. You guys know that. I did not grow up with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So you guys think, oh, Wynn had cerebral palsy. Wynn must have grown up with the Americans with Disabilities Act. No. When I went to private preschool, which is the school I teach at now, there was no such thing as the Americans with Disabilities Act. My parents had to fight every 2 seconds to get me mainstreamed in the classroom, and there was no such thing as, quote, special ed. Special ed I wasn't exposed to special ed until I was in high school. And I mean that really. I wasn't exposed to special ed and special ed classrooms until I was in high school. So I think we all need to learn about all different disabilities and read books about all different disabilities, including my own, and then read all that we can about disabilities and ask people, how can we help them? It's not how can you help Wynn with cerebral palsy. It's about how can we help the parents who have a newly diagnosed child. And from my recollections, kids with cerebral palsy, I'm just making this as an example, aren't diagnosed until 2 years old, which is sad beyond belief because I was diagnosed, thankfully, in 87 when I was first born. My mom went into preterm labor, yes, the doctor who was her OBGYN tried to kill her. He had tried to kill me, not kill my mom, but mother and baby would have been down there together if things worked out. But he had cancer, and yes, when you get diagnosed with cancer, I've learned the hard way that you should get out of the medical field quite quickly, and he was still in the medical field delivering the babies. Thank you very much. Her other OBGYN saves me, and the pediatrician saved me. Thank you very much. And then that's how I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy. I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy because of my mom's preterm labor, I believe, or you can develop it in the womb. I'm not sure how I got cerebral palsy. I know I had cerebral palsy, but I'm not sure I know exactly how I got it. I think it's because of my mom's preterm labor and lack of oxygen at birth, because that's what cerebral palsy is. Cerebral palsy is a lack of oxygen injury at birth. And so people just need to be educated about cerebral palsy. And if I bark and squawk, they'll start screaming into this telephone.
Well, how about a happy question? How about, so if you could travel to any place on the planet, money wasn't a limitation, getting where you needed to go, there were no limitations, all the magic doors opened, where would you travel? What sights would you see first?
That would be Machu Picchu. And that would be, I would see all the sights down there. That would be Bogota, Colombia. Again, thank you very much. Again, I say again because I did it on a cruise many years ago. And that would be Medellin, Colombia. And again, because I did that on a cruise too. And so, And so I would either travel to Machu Picchu or Colombia again.
Very cool. Very, very cool. I have never been there.
So
again.
Again. So I did that route on the cruise. I would not go, surprise, I would not go back to Russia again. Russia just, when I was there, it was before President Donald Trump went into office, but now I think going to Russia as a tourist, that's not my favorite spot in all. And well, I did it when I was younger, in my 17 years. I think I did that when I was 17, and I wouldn't want to go back. So, Colombia would be my first choice, or Machu Picchu, which I hear is beautiful, and Africa would not be my choice. I would have to go on a mission trip to get me to Africa, because Africa safari does not interest me. I'm sorry, but African safari does not interest me, so I think it would be Machu Picchu or Colombia.
Very, very interesting places. And what is it about Machu Picchu that draws you? I mean, there are there are a lot of energy vortexes all around the world, like Sedona, various places that people are drawn to. What is it about Machu Picchu that has that magical hold for you?
It's my biological mom went there, and she when she was alive, she told me it was one of her favorite places on the planet. And also, I agree with you that the energy forces down there would absolutely love me, because I hear they have positive energy forces. So if you guys want to send me to Machu Picchu, please go ahead. Let's fundraise and let's do a international trip, because Machu Picchu is on my bucket list.
It sounds like a great place to go. I'll have to research it a little more. I've read on various Texas, but not specifically that one, so I'll have to read on it. I know the pictures are amazing.
The pictures are amazing, so I've been told. And I have to, I know that Colombia's handicapped accessible. I have to figure out whether Machu Picchu is handicapped accessible. I know that Colombia is handicapped accessible, and so I love my international travel, but I also love my domestic travel as well.
That's awesome. So do you have time for more questions, or are you
Yes, I do.
You do?
I do.
So, you asked me who I would most like to be educated by. So, alive or passed on, name one person that has inspired you, and in what way have they inspired you?
Well, I thought about this, and for those of you who knew about my mother's passing, there's another person who also knew about my mother's passing, and the moment she found out, because I got a job 10 days after my mom died. Yes, I'm crazy for doing that, but I needed something to keep me sane, and of course that job has kept me sane for more than 10 years now. And I think my first grade teacher was inspiring to me. And all the teachers that I had in my life, all the teachers and educational teachers that I had in my life, my first grade teacher has really inspired me, and I wish I have stolen stuff from my classroom, because one of the things she had was all the U.S. songs, believe it or not, laminated in her classroom. So I would stare at my country to be laminated and think that was so cool that she would have that laminated. And granted, this was in a building that was about, it's knocked down now, but when I was going there, that building was about 15 years, and the walls looked like they were about to fall apart. So, but the work this woman did, not only for me, but the rest of the students, was amazing. And I just applaud for everyone that made me go into education, even though the paycheck isn't high enough for me to stay in education. I'm actually giving myself a pay raise next year because I can, and I'm actually talking to my boss about giving myself a pay raise just because I can. Right now it's a small amount, but I want it to be bigger, and I want to be happy in the field of communications via the field of education.
So, to ask you, to peel the onion, as a psychologist, I'm always peeling the onion, what's a little deeper. So you talked about your teacher that was really inspiring. I would like to know how she inspired you. In what ways did it touch you, and how do you carry that forward in your everyday life? How do you bring that to life every day?
Many years later, I found out, well, this was actually recently, I found out that she got breast cancer, and she was the most compassionate person on the planet, and her sons were the most compassionate person on the planet. And fortunately, when I got up there at the college, we lost her son to cancer. We lost her son to cancer. His battle with cancer started in 2004. He went into Malaysian, graduated high school. I was at his high school graduation, and unfortunately, as a college student, he lost his battle with cancer. But I didn't know why she was the most compassionate person on the planet until just a couple of weeks ago, when someone told me, who also worked with her many years ago, that she had cancer. And I know that watching these teachers go through cancer, and of course, she didn't tell any of the colleagues. She didn't tell any of the students. I mean, I had friends die of cancer while I was a student, believe it or not. I had two friends die of cancer, die of childhood leukemia while I was a student, believe it or not. And so she didn't tell anyone. She put up this fight like there was no tomorrow, and I just knew that she was a compassionate person, but I did not know why until a couple of weeks ago.
Wow. And it's amazing how we remember things that make such an emotional impression on us. And then when we're asked to put it in words, it's like we realize it's a lot larger than maybe we ever thought it was. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys thought I was going to say my mom, my dad. Well, that's true too, but I'm like, well, she's the one that probably made me go into education. And the moment she found out somehow that I got the job, and the moment she found out my mom died, what did she do? She gave me a big giant hug the first day of new teachers orientation, and I was a new teacher at the time, and she comes up and gives me a big giant hug, and it's like, okay, you found out about my mom. Somehow you found out that I'm a new teacher up there, and at the time I was like losing my mind. So basically, I have a couple people that inspired me to go into education. Now, I wish, now looking back on it, do I wish that my mother ever suggested that I went into education? I wish she suggested that I follow my heart in journalism. Even though I love my mommy dearly, she suggested that I go into education, and the main reason why she suggested that I go into education is because of the time off. Is because you get a 2-week spring break, you get summers off, so that's the main reason why my mom suggested that I go into education.
Well, I think a lot of people look at education that way. I know I've certainly looked at it that way, but I think too sometimes, if we pull back from that ego-mind perspective and we stand back on the shore in our truth, maybe you followed her encouragings because maybe that's something you needed to learn, the lessons to acquire so that you could be just a kick-butt journalist too.
Yeah, now that I think about it, maybe my job in education was put in my life for a reason, and I'm a more compassionate journalist now that I've been in the hard knocks of teaching. And not to say that I don't love my teachers, I do, but we just don't get paid enough. And someone asked me once, and they asked me quite rudely, they said, are they paying you a lesser amount because of your disability? And I just looked at this person and said, and a PT was standing right behind me, a physical therapist was standing right behind me. And I said, you're talking to two people that are in professions because they love it. Now, PTs don't get paid as much as they should either. And this person looked at me and then shut up the rest of the time because I said, no, they're not paying me because of my disability. They're paying me the wage they can, and this is the wage they offered, and I took it.
Well, I applaud your efforts as a teacher because I think more than you really learning a lot, look at all of the children you exposed to working with someone that has a diagnosed physical disability and all of the compassion you encouraged in those children as your students. I think that's just incredible.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I just applaud every teacher who's out there dealing with, especially the teachers in Parkland, Florida lately. They're dealing with a lot outside the classroom. For those of you who are living under a rock and don't know what happened on Valentine's Day, there was a mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, and there was one out here in 98. Columbine, I believe, happened in 1998. Dylan Cerebral shot teachers and students, and that was the first school shooting. I was young at the time. I was also young when 9/11 happened. But I applaud all the psychologists out there. I applaud the work you're doing, Shelley, as well, because what you're doing is making people live a better life. And then I applaud all the teachers out there who may not get a high enough paycheck, but yet are still in the profession. And I will be in the communications side of the profession sooner than I hope. And so I just want to say, give me a classroom. You will see me in the classroom, but you will also see me in the communications side. So I will be sticking around education as long as education lets me stick around, even though I'm getting a degree in journalism. But I agree with Shelley. I think we are put on this planet because a higher power has a purpose for us.
I think so too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Higher power has a purpose. Now, where can people find you, Shelley, and where can people find your book? Is the book on pre-order too?
I am getting my website ready for pre-order for the book. It's titled Love is Unconditional, The Power of Your Truth. Because my last name is so difficult to pronounce and spell, it's Leutschaft. I actually go by Dr. Lovestrong on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm under Dr. Shelley Leutschaft, but that's my @ sign is at Dr. Lovestrong. I'm also on LinkedIn. They can purchase the book either off of Amazon, Smashwords, BookBaby, BarnesandNoble.com. When I get it back from the editor, it will be uploaded. You can either buy it in ebook or in softback copy, or you can purchase a signed copy off my website, which is livefromlove.com. And just let me know if you want it for you or whomever you're purchasing, and I'll give you an autographed copy. You can order directly from me.
Yes. And you guys, all the educators out there should order this book. And because we're talking about Teachers Appreciation gifts at the end of the year. I like my Teachers Appreciation gifts too, don't get me wrong, but let's support independent authors and either hand them a copy of Shelley's book or either hand them a copy of mine and say, educate yourselves about being in your true bodies or educate yourselves about cerebral palsy. Because even though the wine and the coffee mugs are great, getting teachers and survivors to teach another year is the greatest gift you can give a teacher. And I know you want to give me wine, and I know you want to give me the coffee mugs, and I know you want to give every teacher out there the coffee mugs, but let's get teachers educated on who they can truly be, and let's get them inspired on cerebral palsy and living in their true selves.
Absolutely.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Thank you, Wynn.